Evening, and welcome to our joint Relay Media Center presentation on the digital resources available to your student and you through our Deep Creek Middle School Destiny Library Catalog and the Baltimore County Public Library. With the unexpected closure of schools in March, Mr. Baker and I met to discuss the possibility that BCPS would open virtually for the 2021 school year and how the library could support the students and teachers with remote learning. As a result of this conversation, I spent the summer reaching out to department chairs for input, reviewing ebook and digital audiobook resources, and comparing the lists to what we already had in our collection. As a result, we were able to double the ebook and digital audiobook resources available to our students, making reading for personal enjoyment and reading for content area classes more accessible and varied. Tonight, I am going to lead you into an exploration of our Deep Creek Middle School Destiny catalog and collections of ebooks and digital audiobooks so you can experience firsthand the variety of digital resources we have available. Being a public school with a prescribed budget, we could not purchase all that we wanted. So after exploring in Destiny, we'll head over to the Baltimore County Public Library to access their digital resources in hopes that if we do not have it at Deep Creek Middle School, the public library may. Before we get started, please make sure that you have your student's BCPS username and password and their 9-digit student ID number. We will use the BCPS username and password to access Destiny and the 9-digit student ID number to access the Baltimore County Public Library. Once you have that information handy, simply follow the directions in the slide. First, log into BCPS1 at bcps1.bcps.org. Enter your student's BCPS username and password. On the landing page, please click on the digital content box. Once that page opens, scroll down to grades 6 to 12, as these are all the databases that our middle school and high school students have access to and will use over the remainder of their public school career. Please click on Destiny, which is the third box in on the top row. You will see a list of schools. Please choose Deep Creek Middle School from the far right column under the middle school heading. Before we start digging into Destiny, we should take a moment to think about the books we remember reading as a kid. These are a few that our teachers remember from a poll I ran last year. When you think back, what books stand out in your memory of having read as a middle or high school student? As you can imagine, these covers are very different from the covers and content that we see in middle grade and young adult literature today. So what are the current books available to our students? Pictured are just a few of our most recent, most popular, and well-reviewed fiction books. Many of these titles are part of our Clash of the Covers reading competition group, like Song for a Whale and Ghost Squad, while Clean Getaway and Black Brother are from the Project Lit National Reading List of books that represent the diverse issues and groups within our country. We have worked diligently at Deep Creek Middle School to ensure that our collection is both relevant and diverse to represent every student in our school. Books should be our mirrors, and that has been the ongoing goal of our library and that of Baltimore County Public Schools. So let's start digging into the collections to see what the Deep Creek Middle School students have left for us to read. When you scroll down from the Deep Creek Middle School Destiny homepage, there are several ribbons of books that can be clicked on to see more of what is available. However, this is much like falling into an internet rabbit hole. To easily and efficiently locate the ebooks and digital audiobooks, please click on the hamburger menu in the top left corner of the screen. From this main menu, please click on Collections. With over 600 ebook and digital audiobooks available, we had to find a way to make it as easy as possible for students to browse for these resources. Therefore, collections were set up by club, Clash of the Covers, format, audiobooks, general fiction, and nonfiction collections. When you click on a collection, a list of books appears with book cover, author, summary, and tags. This allows you to determine if this book is interesting enough to borrow. If it is, simply click on the title of the book and a window will open allowing you to check out the book. I typically suggest to the students that the best place to begin is with the tags, then to move on to the summary. The best part about the eBooks and digital audiobooks, they return automatically. Giving you an opportunity to dig through the various collections, both fiction and nonfiction, club and genre, is an important part of this evening. By doing so, you have a chance to experience the Deep Creek Middle School Library as your student does, and gain an understanding of how many resources they have available to assist them this year and in the future, whether we're in the building or not. On a side note, our general nonfiction collection is divided by content area and, in some cases, grade level. Please search through our collections to find any titles that you would like to read with your child. Now that we've dug through our Deep Creek Middle School Destiny catalog to see what we have available, let's head over to the Baltimore County Public Library to see if what we were missing at our school library might show up in our public library. This is what our Baltimore County Public Library interface looks like when we head over to the kids collection in the public library. I wanted to give you a chance to see that the BCPL interface looks much like what we saw in Destiny. As you can see, we have ribbons of books that we can scroll through in order to find more titles under each subtitle. Each book cover in each ribbon within the Baltimore County Public Library has some very important information. First, at the top of each, the orange box will indicate if the book is available to borrow right now or if you need to wait. The green arrow is pointing to the bookmark icon that will allow you to add titles to a virtual bookshelf to check out later. The gray arrow identifies the format of the book, whether it's an ebook to read or an audiobook to listen to. Finally, the three vertical dots under the cover opens a submenu that offers more information on the book with a special focus on the last item, which will take the reader to similar books, expanding their author and story choices. For a book that's in high demand and requires a wait list, you can place a hold by typing in the email address you want to use to be notified when the book is ready to borrow. For students that have been instructed to use their BCPS credentials, they need to add @bcps.org. However, because this is not a functioning email address, students should log into the account and check the notifications bell, which the red arrow is pointing to. When the book on hold is available and the student is logged in, a green dot will appear on the bell and it will ring to let you know that you have a notification. Logging into the Baltimore County Public Library is incredibly easy. However, the student's BCPS credentials will not work. Students will need to use their 9-digit student ID number. This number is unique to each student in the county and is active until they graduate from BCPS. Homeroom teachers have been given student ID numbers, and students can access past Schoology reports to find their student ID number. ID numbers were also included in the Deep Creek Middle School summer mailing, and many students have their ID number from their orientation that they attended over the past few weeks in their relay and social studies classes. Once logged in, a My Account menu is displayed in the top right corner, along with a bookshelf icon. This bookshelf icon takes you directly to your current loans, and each audiobook and ebook will pick up where you last left off, so you will never get lost in your reading. When a book is checked out, the only option is to listen or read in browser. There may be an option to download or read in Kindle, but these will not be available. Once you find a book to read, click on the title to read a summary of the book and to borrow it. If you decide this is a book to read, simply click on the orange Borrow button. Select the number of days you want to borrow and click Borrow Again. When you have successfully borrowed the book, a final window will open. This may present you with 3 options. Please remember that the only option that will work with the BCPS devices is the orange Read or Listen in browser. Another tip: if you find an author whose book you truly enjoyed, click on the author's name, which is presented in, you guessed it, orange font. By clicking on their name, it will bring up the page with all the books available from that author. This way, readers can branch out into the different worlds the author has created. For readers who are ready for more mature themes, simply switching the collection to the Teens collection by clicking on the downward arrow next to Collections in the circle will open up more options for books recommended at the young adult level. Keep in mind that young adult is anything from the latter end of 8th grade and through high school. Books should be approached with some caution by middle schoolers, as this collection has more mature language, themes, and storylines. As we build on our students' access to stories and build their mental bookshelves, I wanted to provide you with information about our National Ambassador of Young People's Literature through the Library of Congress. Jason Reynolds, the author of over 13 books, did not read a single book from cover to cover until his later years when he read Black Boy by Richard Wright as a young adult. The reason? He never saw himself in the books assigned to him in school. It has become his mission in the next 2 years to help children all over the country find the stories outside of and inside of themselves. Please check out his Right site through the Library of Congress to see how he has reached out during the pandemic and his future appearances. As a final thought, please consider accessing these lists and websites to find the most current and popular books available and coming out for our middle grade and young adult literature. Some provide classic books we all know and love, while others bring you into the newest worlds created by our newest authors. Thank you so much for attending.